Good morning and welcome to another how-to video. My name is Ditech CTO DVS and thank you for all your subscriptions, likes, comments and shares. Please do keep it up, and thanks to Toshiba for sponsoring our channel. So what are we going to look at today? So we're going to look at a new thermal camera from Hikvision. So they've relabeled the thermal eco range as HeatPro. They've improved the VCA analysis engine and the way that you can configure that on the web menu. So the first thing we're going to do is take out the box, take a quick look at it, then we're going to fit it outside and show you the quick and easy VCA configuration and how this can benefit you. It has the intrusion line crossing functionality, but it also has temperature detection. But the temperature detection is only +8 degrees accurate, so depending on what you are actually measuring, that might not be accurate enough. We do have a more accurate model, the T model, which gives you that ±2 degrees, but the 8 degrees is possible on this eco level HeatPro range. We also have the fire detection algorithm, so we'll try to show you that, how to configure that. So we're going to take it out the box. So nice new design box. So you get your usual manual fitting templates, your foam pads, you get your back box. Important, you get your RJ45 waterproof jacket. Please do use those. It creates or saves a lot of issues. On these particular models, we've got the adjustable bracket, so they've redesigned the bracket, so you've got the lock-in screw there. Once you undo that, you can twist it, rotate it up and down, left, right, etc. And then when you're happy, just really tighten that down. So it's a much better design than the older bracket where you had about 3 screws through here. So this is a much more enhanced design. It's like the 2.6 series that we've had for a while now. Out of the black, you've got the secure hook which hangs onto the bracket, so you can connect all these while securely having that, mounted to the bracket so it doesn't fall on the floor. On the front, you've got this is the bi-optical one, so we've got a day-night camera plus the thermal camera there, so day-night thermal. This one's also now got the PA models HeatPro, has got the visual alarm, so flashing white light plus the built-in speaker. So like the temperature screening models where it announces and flashes a light at you if you're over temperature, this is the same for the analytical detection. So if you set up an area, an object is detected, a vehicle or a car, this can now flash and annunciate a custom audio message or a fixed audio message, which then obviously adds to the active deterrent element of this. Being a thermal camera, the VCA analytics are going to be very stable compared to a standard CCTV analytic because, well, we all know that the thermal image is a lot less detail in there. So when an object comes in that does give off that infrared heat, the camera is able to decipher that accurately and then generate the alarm. So there's the camera. So design sun shield on the top, camera on the front there. Now this model here is the, just so you can understand, the DS-2TD 26176PA. So it's a 160 by 120 thermal image, and we can do the image fusion to give the thermal some detail because it is a very low res eco thermal, so the thermal image on its own doesn't really give you any detail. But if we do the image fusion technique, which I will show you, you get that enhanced detail on the image. So when an analytic does trigger, it looks like a black and white infrared image effectively. Really good technique to enhance that VCA image, so I'll show you that shortly. So it's a 160 by 120, 25 frame rates. It's a 6mm lens. Now depending on your application, we also have a thermal lens calculator, so you can put your map or your image of your site on there, drop your cameras on there, and it'll show you the detection distances of the models that you select, so you can make sure you match the appropriate lens size with your application. And once we fitted that, at the end of the video, I will very quickly show you that thermal lens calculator in action, so you can then go help your customer design a system that will match their requirements instead of second guessing. So different lens sizes depending on your application. One thing to bear in mind with a thermal product is, the bigger the lens size, the bigger the dead zone in front of the camera. So if you go for a 35mm lens, the dead zone is increased in front of the camera because you're looking at objects further away. Therefore, your distance between the camera and where the detection zone starts is going to be increased, and it could be from 3-4 meters all the way up to 45-50 meters, depending on the lens size you choose. So using the thermal design tool that I just mentioned, it will actually enable you to see the dead zone in front of the camera depending on the angle of fitting and the mounting height, and therefore you can infill it with eco-thermals with a much smaller lens size, and then you get the immediate coverage underneath the camera, or we can put optics detection, etc., linked to the alarm input on the camera. So one thing I generally use with the long range stuff is put an optics camera underneath there for the short range detection, linked into the alarm input on the camera, and therefore you have your immediate dead zone covered by the stable optics external detector. But there are many options that we can go through. On the camera is a PoE or 12 volt. You've got your alarm input outputs. You've also got your audio input outputs. And there's an RS-485 connection on there as well. So very, very simple. We'll go and fit this outside, transfer you over to the web so you can see the easy wizard configuration, how this can benefit you and your customer, fire detection, the temperature detection, and how to set those up, and then finally the lens configuration tool and how that will really help you deliver the correct camera. Because they are a little bit costly, you don't want to put the wrong camera for the wrong application and find yourself out of pocket. So stay tuned, we're going to go fit that now, transfer you over, and we'll see you very, very shortly. Okay, so we fitted the camera outside. We're going to go through the setup of the camera shortly, but an overview, just going to give you a quick skip through of this 30-page presentation. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Most of you, if you've used the Hikvision thermal camera before, you're going to understand a lot of this. Those of you that haven't, feel free to pause the video and take a look at the content in more detail. But the HeatPro range is the renamed Eco Thermal range. So we've got improved VCA analytics, improved temperature detection algorithms. The VCA function is much more simple to set up from an installer point of view. So they've done a lot of work on this to bring it to the HeatPro name. So we'll skip through this quickly. So why thermal camera is ideal for perimeter protection? Well, a lot of them have got a thermal image and an optical image combined, so you can use a bispectrum model, which we've got outside, which we'll show you, but you get the benefit of the optical image and the thermal image, and you do image fusion on the thermal, which greatly enhances the detail even further. So discover hidden objects, so you can see there the thermal can easily see objects that the optical can't, and it's a more accurate alarm. Why release HeatPro thermal cameras? VCA thermal cameras meets most demands. There will be some problems. So you can see there, configuration is complicated. For some people it was. The improvements in the HeatPro cameras, similar to what I've already stated. So the VCA video content analysis. So you've got video sequence, object detection, object tracking, object classification, rule, and alarm trigger. So you've got better target classification and faster target detection. Better target classification performance, so again, greatly reducing that false alarm efficiency, or enhancing it even. So VCA 1 to VCA 2. Multiple targets detection. The VCA 1 can't detect multiple persons separately, but VCA version 2 and the HeatPro can. Faster detection in challenging conditions. So VCA 1 to VCA 2. There's obviously a lot of moving traffic in there. The VCA configuration, which we'll go through shortly, is like a wizard almost, so it really does enhance the usability of this as an end user, or as an installer perspective even, sorry. False alarm reduction, so we got the minimum maximum object sizes. More flexible solution combined. Alarm solution. This also works in conjunction with the AX Pro, so if you're using an AX Pro alarm system, our grade 2 wireless alarm system that's now got PD6662, you can also combine the thermal alarm with an event, so it's a combined alarm within the AX Pro setup, to give you external triggers into your linked with your alarm solution. So really, really powerful. We'll start to skip through this and some case studies, and again, feel free to pause the video. And a VCA distance, so you've got the different detection, so vehicle and humans there. So you've got recommended human detection, recommended vehicle detection, maximum. So you've got the different, depending on the model, the distances there. But always refer to the spec sheet. Each product on the spec sheet will give you this information rather than use this slideshow. Fire prevention. So we got the fire detection. The one thing I would say is so you've got early warning, fast alarming, and visible check-in. These models, the HeatPro solution is ±8 degrees accuracy. So depending on what you're looking at for temperature detection, you may need to go for the T model. We've got a new T model, which is ±2 degrees accuracy. Why use thermal cameras for fire detection? So you've got the point area, alarms, different models there, and thank you. So effectively, that is our presentation. So what we're going to do now is bring up the thermal camera outside. Okay, on to the exciting stuff now. So the camera's fitted outside. We've got the 6mm lens. If I quickly show you, let me just make this full screen. So we've got the day-night optical image there and the thermal image here. You can see the thermal image is a 6mm lens, which is slightly zoomed in compared to the 4mm lens that we've got on the optical model. But they are sort of closely aligned. You can see it's a very low resolution thermal. Even though it's low res, we can still see the features. So you can see the gates, the building behind the roadway, and obviously the drain gutter in there. I'll show you a image fusion technique which will greatly enhance the detail in this thermal image, which will give it more or better detail effectively. So this is the 26176 PA model, like I said earlier. The PA has got the built-in sounder and light function, so we can actually use this as an active deterrent model. So if we go into configuration first thing is always important with a thermal camera is to ensure you're on the latest firmware. Now if you go to the UK portal, you can actually download for this model here, make sure you're on the latest firmware. As of filming, this is the latest firmware right now. Will that change? Obviously, depending on when you fit this camera, I expect that to be a later version again, but right now that is the latest version. Okay, so under maintenance, okay, so under system settings, you've got unit settings here. This is where we can change it to Celsius, degrees, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin, depending on your temperature measurement needs. So we'll use ours as degrees C and meters, but you can put it in feet, centimeters, or meters. Under maintenance, you've got VCA resource type, temperature measurement, and behavior analysis. So we can do temperature measurement, which is +8 degrees accuracy, and behavior analysis, which is the VCA, so vehicle human detection. Or we can do temperature measurement and fire detection. Now, if I choose temperature measurement and fire detection, the camera will reboot, but you'll have a dedicated fire detection menu, which I will quickly run you through shortly. But the behavior analysis, the default mode for perimeter protection, is the line crossing, area, etc. So that is the default mode, and the one we're going to focus on right now, because that's our primary use for this model. But we can select fire detection with temperature measurement, and the camera will reboot, and you just set that up, as we will show you later. So security, again, the functions and functionality, I'm not going to go into too much. They're standard Hikvision web functionalities. So user management, network, advanced. So you've got the HeatPro Connect, HeatConnect and ISUP. So ISUP, for those of you that don't know what ISUP is, it's like our back-end connection system. So if you're using Hike Central and you don't have a fixed IP address on the router on that site, you can actually enable ISUP, use ISUP on the Hike Central, and you can register the device to pair them into your Hike Central system. So it's like a back-end HeatConnect system that enables our software to talk to it without having a need for a fixed IP address. So again, integration protocols, network service, HTTP listening. So again, standard functionalities. So the two cameras that we've got, so camera 1 is the optical, camera 2 is the thermal. So whilst this set at 720p, it is a lower res, it's a very low res thermal, but it tries to upscale it. So with the camera 1, the optical, we're set at 4 megapixel, 25 frames a second, H.265. Display info by video or player. Now I always want the VCA info inside the video. You can choose player, and then you'd have to use our VS player to decipher that VCA information, it'd be embedded into the video, and then therefore you'd have to use the VS Player to get it. But we're going to display it by the video, which is the default. So click save on that. And you can adjust it down. If you don't want it at 4 megapixel, you can have it at 1080p or 720p and adjust the frame rate in that accordingly. Now it does have an audio input on the camera, so you can connect a line in, microphone if you want to connect the microphone in for, external sound monitoring. Fine. Regions of interest, metadata settings. So we're going to put it on camera 2. And we're going to enable a metadata, so embedded metadata for VCA and temperature measurement. Now, more if you're using third-party systems and you built your own using our ISAPI, SDK, etc., then we'd expect you to enable a metadata to get that information out. But I'm going to take it anyway. Image. So camera 1 and camera 2. Now I've already named them. I've gone in, activated the camera and give them the name so I knew where it was on the system. But again, camera 1, you've got all of the standard functionalities you'd expect on a static camera, so you can adjust the properties as required for your application. With camera 2, you can choose you've got image adjustment, so brightness, contrast, background correction, manual correction, and thermal AGC mode is self-adaptive. And that's our default mode and the one I would suggest you start at. Image enhancement. So we've got palettes. You've got all these different palettes. You've got white hot, which is I think is the best one, or you can change it to black hot, fusion, rainbow. So you can choose it, whichever one suits your customer's needs. But we're going to go to white hot. What you can find is white hot and black hot, the two top ones. You can actually then enable the colors in the field of view. The color of the target will actually be red, orange, or green if you wanted to be between. So you can visually see temperature differences. So if I say anything above, so to be colored above, say 35 degrees, color red. And I can do between and below. What I find with between and below is if you enable them, a lot of this image will be washed out with green, especially green and orange. But the red one is really handy. So if you want to know if a target or an object in this field of view is above a certain temperature, then just set that, click save. And don't forget, it is plus or minus 8 degrees accuracy, so it may not be as accurate as you think. But anything above that temperature there in this field of view will be red. So say the brakes on a truck, or maybe an exhaust pipe or something. So that would then appear in that red. And hopefully, as we're doing the video, we might see some objects that come in that are above. Okay, so you can set that accordingly. You don't have to use it. I just find it useful for a reference within the image. You've got DDE, DD level, brightness, sudden change on or off, and then regional image enhancement off or on. Image enhancement, you've got mirror and digital zoom on and off. So pretty straightforward so far. OSD settings, like any standard camera, type in your OSD, move the text around, and you can change the text type there. Privacy mask, we support privacy mask on both optical and thermal. So depending on your application, you can use privacy mask accordingly. Picture overlay, so I can actually upload a picture in this format here into the image. So it could be a site icon, so it could be the site you're working on and they want their image embedded on there, or because especially if on a thermal where they're running it through a process engine, a third party one, they may want to identify that it's coming from their system effectively. You can put a set of instructions on there, branding, whatever you want. Some people use it, some people don't. DPC, dead pixel correction, and then picture in picture. So what we can do with the picture in picture, so if we go, so picture overlay, and then picture in picture, if I choose camera 2, this is where we can enhance the thermal image to give it more detail. So we've got details overlay is already on. If I turn it off, you can see it goes even more low res. So picture in picture mode is normal. It's very low res thermal, and it's even harder to see the detail in that image. If I change it to details overlay and click save, you can see, and you can see there, that was the red of the brake discs on that car. So it was over the 35 degrees and therefore showed up red. So perfect timing. And then we've got the focal distance there. So now we've set that focal distance where you want it to focus on. So we're going to say 10 meters. And you can see the image sharpens. If I put 15 meters in there, you can see it changing. 3, depending on where you want this to focus, really. 6 is about right. There we go. Maybe we'll make it a little bit more. 8. But effectively, that's how you can adjust it, and the focal distance as you too far. As you adjust it, it focuses on the object, whether it's near or far that you're trying to capture. But that's the image fusion, we call it. So again, I would use it to greatly enhance the detail in that thermal camera. VCA rule. So again, camera 2, the font size is 12. You can put it a little bit more, and you can have normal, pre-alarm, and alarm there. So you can have the font size accordingly, and you can even change the color. If you don't want the normal alarm, you can change the color to whatever suits your application and click save. Pretty straightforward. This was used heavily on the temperature screening product, where you change the font size to the biggest font, and then you'd have the text above the object. It was very clear. Again, it still applies to the VCA rule. Under event, we've got motion detection. I'm going to turn motion detection off. Don't actually use it, so get rid of that, clear it. But you can use motion detection if you want. Yep. Video tampering, alarm input. So we've got 2 alarm inputs on board, 2 alarm outputs. So again, you can have an input to output or another event. If you link this to an NVR or through a Hike Central system, you can have a different event on the system, then trigger the camera output, which could be, you know, opening a gate, or it could be open a trapdoor, or, you know, the electric fence to turn on and off, whatever that may be. So flashing alarm light output. So we're going to have it as flashing. So this is the deterrent I was on about, the active deterrent. So flashing duration, put it to 15 seconds. Flashing frequency, we'll put it to high. Brightness 100% because we want it to be effective as possible. And the time period that this light can be active is 24/7. Let's quickly do that. Save. That's near enough 24/7 for purposes of this. So you can have it solid or flashing, time period and the frequency and the brightness. Now audible alarm output. So alarm type is VCA behavior analysis. So we're going to have it as a warning or custom audio. So I can upload a custom audible file like we can on the active deterrent cameras now. So the warning message, and we can have warning, this is a restricted area, click test, and then that will come over that speaker. We'll just do it twice, and then 100% volume. And again, the time period that this is active. So you can see how configurable this is. So we can choose warning, custom audible, how many times the volume, and when it's active. So we'll save that. Really powerful. Smoking detection. Again, smoking is prohibited in this area. So if you put it into the fire detection mode, you can actually do the smoking detection, and then click test. We've got a smoking shelter here, but again, many places on a site don't allow smoking on their premises, and this is a good way of a camera picking up somebody smoking and then able to do that automated voice message to deter them or move them away. And again, temperature measurement, you've got warning or custom audible, and then temperature abnormality, please deal with it as soon as possible. So again, the 3 different VCA. So the VCA behavior analysis is the one we're focusing on today. So we'll click save. Smart event. So you've got audio exception detection, dynamic fire source detection, and then fire source region shield. Now, audio detection, you can use the external microphone, and then if a sudden increase or decrease in sound, like machinery or something, or an explosion of some kind. Dynamic fire source detection is linked to camera 2, which is the thermal. Enable dynamic fire source detection, yes. Fire source detection is in smoking mode, and we'll click yes, and we can adjust the sensitivity. Arming schedule is 24/7. Linkage method is send an email, flashing light audible, click save, trigger alarm output, trigger recording, done. So again, we can use the smoking detection. That's now in that thermal field of view. It's not supported on an optical one, so very simple to set up. Storage, we got an SD card that you can put an SD card in there, or our cloud storage server, which is like a CVS. Hard drive management, put the SD card in there, which I have. It's already formatted, and we can simply send event snapshots recording directly to the SD card. Okay, so before we go on to the final bit of the VCA, we're going to go to temperature measurement first. Very simple to set up. So we're going to enable temperature measurement and enable that color temperature reference and click save. And again, you can display minimum, average temperature and display temperature in optical channel if you want. Yes. So date of refresh is every 3 seconds. Unit is degrees C, but you can see the temperature range is -20 to 150 degrees and it's ±8 degrees accuracy. Position of thermometry is top left or near target, so we can display it in the top left if we want rather than on the target, but we'll leave it as on the target so it follows it. But if you want it in the set top left on screen so it frees up the video or the image looks nicer, change that to top left. Advanced settings, so really simple to do. So you can see there where it's actually starting to detect temperature here. So configuration, put it into expert mode, and you can see here it's basically the whole field of view. But what we're going to do is enable it, DVS area 1. We're going to have it as an area, and we're going to clear that, but we'll put distance, about 10 meters. Reflective temperature, if you know it, you can enable that and put the reflective temperature in there. An alarm rule enabled, click on there. So alarm temperature is anything 35 degrees. Let's say 38 degrees. Filtering time 1 second. Pre-alarm is 35 degrees. Filtering time 1. Tolerance temperature 3 degrees. And then you've got the pre-alarm output and alarm output. Click save. Really simple to do. And what we're going to do now is draw our area. So we'll go from there to there to there to there. So we're not going to cover the building too much because of the glass reflection, and they got their lights and aircon on. So click save. So now this is the area that we're monitoring, this area here. So you can see that green dot is jumping around. So you've got your maximum temperature is 18.7, minimum is 10.7, and then your average is down there. We'll show you that shortly. It's very simple to do for temperature measurement. And you can do areas temperature comparison. So you can actually draw 2 areas, do the area temperature comparison to compare 2 areas, and then do an alarm when the temperature difference is different. If you're going to start getting into that realm, you're probably going to want to look at the T model, which is the accurate temperature. Because of the ±8 degrees accuracy, that may or may not cause an issue. The functionality is there, but you may want to look at what that looks like from an accuracy point of view. And the device temperature is currently 16 degrees. So you can have a point, which is a single point. So you could put a point on that point there. So you can see the red there is following that car. So 36.7 degrees that was then. So you can have a point, area, or a line. So area I find is the most commonly used, but you can have a point which is a cross fixed on an area, or you can have a line and it puts a line across, and you can again monitor the that line and then the temperature of the object behind it or on it. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Click save. Shield region, if you need to shield a specific region. So for instance, if I don't want this to read this temperature here, I can mask this area off, and the temperature won't be measured in this little area here, because it could be that that's a heated column or post there, which is going to throw us off our temperature measurement or alarms. So therefore we just simply mask it out. And then the linkage method, you can put the linkage method here of flashing, alarm and audio. Click yes, and that's linked to the message that we set under the audio thing earlier. But what we'll do is turn that off, because we don't specifically need that to be enunciated outside. But that's how you set up the temperature measurement. Now on to the VCA, which is the commonly used application. So VCA, basic settings. The first thing we want to do is enable intelligent analysis, and it pops up with this VCA operation guide. So this is like our step-by-step wizard now, which is included on the latest firmware with the HeatPro, which makes the setup very, very simple. So we click next. So draw the area, set the minimum size. So just click next, next, next. It basically walks you through the effect and finish. So very, very simple. So you can scan that QR code there, and then it also takes you to the online help if you need it. So click on OK. So importantly, a lot of people do not set this intelligent analysis when they first use a thermal camera. It's really important that you actually set that. Display in VCA info on stream, yes. Display trajectory, I put that on, and trajectory information for 10 seconds and click save. Now the trajectory is when an object moves through the field of view, it gives you a tracer line behind it, so you can see where that object has moved. Especially on playback, you can see where that object's movement through the field of view is. You don't have to use it. You can make it longer or shorter, so you could put it as 5 seconds. But again, I do turn that trajectory on. It's up to you. You can turn it off if you want a neater video image. Display info target on alarm. We just tick these and click yes. Step 2, camera calibration. Now this is quite important. Now with the camera calibration, so let me just go and turn that temperature measurement off so it neatens up this scene. But you can see there, you know, what that temperature measurement does, and you can have different scenes and that. So I think we're done on that. So enable temperature measurement off. Go back to the VCA, camera calibration. Now camera calibration is really important. When you first use a camera, especially for the VCA perimeter protection, we need to do the calibration. Now the calibration technique, I've done it in a previous video. We enable camera calibration. So it says enable the camera calibration and configure the rules as filtered to actual size. Help the calibration, complete the camera calibration, VCA, yeah, we know that. So what we need to do, we can select auto calibrate or manual calibration. So we're going to go for auto calibrate and click yes. Effectively, the auto calibration, I need to zigzag through that field of view to give me an effective calibration. So if I click yes, that's now going to gone into calibration mode, but it also means I need to go out there and zigzag across the field of view of this camera. So I'm going to go and walk out there. So I'll stop the video while I do that zigzag motion, and I'll come back and stop the calibration process, and then you'll see how easy it is to calibrate. This is a vital step to deploying this for accurate perimeter protection. So enable the intelligent analysis and the camera calibration are two vitally important functions that you need to enable. So stay with me while I just go and do this. Okay, that's me back from doing my zigzagging across. So we're going to stop this now and see if it calibrated. Auto calibration succeeded, look. And you can see there, it's picked me up zigzagging across that field of view. We're going to click save. And now that camera is calibrated. Once we've finished the calibration, sorry, I'm out of breath because I had to run and do that. So we can untick that. And if I go back to camera calibration, you'll always see the calibrated effect on the right hand side. So I always do the camera calibration. So enable intelligent analysis, then do the camera calibration, and make sure you get that zigzag motion across there and it finishes calibrating. Save it, untick camera calibration, and the camera is now ready to use, and it'll be far more accurate than not doing that. The amount of times I've seen connected to a site and seen that process not done, and it really does affect the VCA performance specifically. Okay, so shield region, so the same as the temperature measurement, we can put a shield region in there where the VCA engine will ignore any potential threats or perimeter protection breaches. Okay, so rule. We can have multiple rules, so I can just click add. So enable it. So we're going to click rule name, DVS gate. And line crossing intrusion, entrance or exit. So we'll go to line crossing, and then we'll do sensitivity 50 by default. Bi-directional line, but you can have it A to B, B to A, and we'll have it either. Human, vehicle, or human and vehicle. And then we're going to draw our line across here, straight across the gateway. Click save. And you can see already the effect I was on about, each person is being tracked separately, which is a massive improvement on the older thermal, and you get that trajectory line. When they walk into the field of view, you get that trajectory line that goes past with them, so you can see where their movement is. And again, with a vehicle, pick them up across that line there, and again, as soon as the vehicle goes across the line, it's picked up and goes red, so you know it's an alarm. The trajectory will also go red, so you can see the whole event in red, and you can trace it to that specific target. I'm just going to move that up a bit because I did notice the person didn't trigger that, but they obviously squeezed through the side of that. Again, same with that one there. So it's very easy to set up. Once you've calibrated, this process is simple. You can do a filter by pixel size, so you can go filter by and change the settings on there. The problem is you don't need to do this to start with, so we'll actually turn that off there. But when you turn that on, you can actually do the minimum and maximum object size. So you can say the maximum object size is this, and the minimum object size is this. So again, it further enhances the false alarm possibilities, and you can see there's filter by pixel size, so maximum size is that, minimum size is this. The problem with, so I could make that bigger. Now, depending on your application, you absolutely could use this as a process, so we'll leave it enabled. What I tend to do is not enable this to start with, see how the product performs, and if needed, further filter this down. I guess it comes with experience, but you can actually turn the maximum and minimum, I can't even say it, filter size on, and you can do it specifically for each VCA rule. So the next one, you can copy it, or you can just go add. So number 2 would be DVS car park, for instance. And we're going to do an intrusion area. So again, how long they're in the box, so 1 second, sensitivity, human vehicle or human and vehicle. So we're going to draw the area. So anyone that comes in here, and you can have different shape objects, click save. And that also went red just as I saved it there. I don't know if you saw it, but the box turned red. So both were detected. So again, you can have human vehicle or human and vehicle. Another one, so red and red, both went red. So you can see how we only just started setting this up and it's already being highly accurate. You can do the duration. So I could put that to 0, which is instant. So the duration is how long it needs to be in that box. So duration, sensitivity, human and vehicle. And again, you can do the filter by pixel size, and you can do it for each separate target. So now a human's walking in here. So we should trigger the line and the box. Line and box, both in one look. So straight away, you can see how accurate that is by the just by doing that configuration and intelligent analysis. And this is the great thing with this HeatPro range, is how accurate it is compared to the standard range. So we're going to click save there. And again, you can keep adding rules. You know, if you want to add another rule, just click add and then type it in and do whatever you need to do for that configuration. Arming schedule, so you've got 2 different rules and they're both 24/7, but adjust them as required. Alarm linkage, so again, for DVS gate, we're going to have flashing alarm and audible yes. And we're also going to do the same for the area and click yes. But you can do alarm output and trigger recording, send email, upload to FTP, whatever that may be. So for instance, for the line crossing, we could do send email, click save, type the emails in, the email in the network and the email. Every time that activation comes through, it also comes through to your phone, software plus email, and you've got the visual representation of it. Let's untick that because we'll get bombarded. But very simple to set up. Hopefully this nice little video shows you how easy this is to set up and how accurate it is, you know, even after a couple of minutes. So advanced configuration. Don't really need to do much in here, but we can do, this is if the product really isn't working out with a box. You can do the detection sensitivity, background update rate, minimum target, displacement, constraint, optical axis movement, and then single alarm, scene mode general, or leaves interfered. So if it's a general view, like out of the box, most of them will be general. Or if it's looking in a lot of trees and there's a lot of leaves blowing, you can put it to leaves interfered view. Now we can restore the engines here. And you can apply a global size filter. So if you want the same filter to apply for all VCAs, click global size, draw it there, and it will apply that size filter to every VCA you've added, so you don't have to do them independently. that's effectively the thermal camera in a nutshell. So we can do rules, enable the rules here, display temperature, let's enable all these, click yes, locate highest temperature, yes. So basically when you go to live view, just quickly show you this working. We got people coming in now, so click play. While we wait for someone, so effectively you've got your rules there plus your optical there. Really powerful solution if you don't use the Hikvision biopticals or even the thermals. If it's not even the bioptical you want and you want the more advanced thermal, higher res, so we do the 320 and the 640 resolution product as well. So if you need a higher res, you can absolutely do that. There's Sion on his scooter. Going way too fast. But you can see there, when he came over the line there, he actually squeezed behind that line typically. So there is a case of where you set these up, you do have to fine tune the VCA to make sure you don't miss anything. An area is probably a default way of capturing everything. So if somebody enters the area and stays in there for more than 0 seconds, or which is a straight away alarm, or more than say 5 seconds, then the alarm would be generated. So I'm just waiting for some movement to come in a second, just so you can see it before we quickly show you the temperature measurement, or the fire detection even, sorry. And again, if somebody stood there and smoked a cigarette, that optical, the thermal would pick up the alarm, and the flashing light and the audible warning would then also trigger. So you can see a car coming in now, line area, straight away, boom, done. So that's effectively the thermal setup, HeatPro range. I'm going to quickly disable that and do that. What I'm going to do now is go into configuration, reboot it into fire detection mode. Unfortunately, I can't set fire to anything in the car park, as much as, you know, there are some people's cars out there I'd love to set fire to. That's not possible. So you're going to have to just take my word for it that when I do this, that is actually going to happen. So VCA, temperature measurement and fire detection, click save, reboot unit, yes. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're rebooted now, and you can see it's actually in the fire detection mode. What you'll see is under the event, smart event here, you've got no VCA menu anymore, so it's actually gone. You've got temperature measurement, basic settings, so you can enable temperature measurement again, click yes. Advanced settings, under smart event, dynamic fire source detection will now be enabled. So dynamic fire, you can click save, do all the appropriate linkage methods, but again, now we're in that mode. It was only smoking mode before. I've enabled dynamic fire mode, so we're in fire detection mode now. So effectively, if any fire happened in this scene here, unfortunately I can't show you that actually occurring right now. You can see it actually, the temperature detection is on the thermal and the optical at the same time. But if there was a fire in there right now, then that would trigger the alarm, alert us to that, and we're using it as fire detection. So waste sites. So this temperature detection model comes in handy, so you can use temperature detection on a waste site, so waste management sites, environmental disposal sites, etc., for monitoring temperature of the, maybe it's a waste pile or a process. We use it for electrical installation rooms, where switch rooms where they're high voltages and monitoring the temperature of the switch gear. And the fire detection, again, in those electrical switch rooms, waste environmental sites, tire disposal sites, chemical plants, that kind of thing, where a fire would be very detrimental to the site and its operation. So therefore we use that. We're even using them on like new builds, because they're timber frame construction. There's a need to monitor the timber frame construction during construction to make sure no fire, or if a fire does occur at the earliest opportunity, someone's alarmed to that. So again, lots and lots of applications. Hopefully you can see the benefits of using this, either for this primary use, which is the VCA configuration, or whether You use it for temper detection, fire detection, smoking detection, you know, lots and lots of applications. Now called HeatPro. Any information you want, please do feel free to contact your DVS sales rep who are a specialist and will be able to help you, or ask DVS at dvs.co.uk where we can provide information as much as possible. Other than that, stay safe. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you to everyone for getting us to over 4 million views now. That's such an achievement. I'm very humbled by that. Stay safe and we'll see you next week for another how-to video. Thanks everybody.